Hello there and welcome to our season finale episode, or sorry, shall I say our penultimate review episode for season 6 of Game of Thrones. However, it's the season finale this week, so I'm reviewing that in full for you. But before we get to the main review, let me just give you a quick spoiler alert, because there will be spoilers from this week's episode, from Monday night's episode, which will contain as I say, spoilers from the whole episode and possibly back into the rest of the season as well, depending on what I use to link and help you understand this week's context. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this week's episode. This may be a slightly longer review, as I have got a lot to talk about, because the episode itself was about 15 minutes longer than normal. Obviously, it was more events, and it was such a good episode that there's so much to talk about that I won't get a chance probably to mention. I've kind of mentioned the main points, the main plot points for each location, but there are some stuff that I won't mention as in detail as other events, so you'll have to kind of bear with me with that. So the title then of Season 6, Episode 10 was The Winds of Winter, which I assume is because winter's arrived, and obviously so have the winds of winter have arrived with winter's arrival. Obviously, it's quite self-explanatory. I probably didn't need to explain it that much, but obviously just in case some of you out there are going, well, why do they call it that? That's kind of what I perceive it to be. And my 5 words are under then. I've got 4 words this week. Best season finale ever. That's best season finale ever. You'll see why as we go through the review, but if you watch the episode, then surely you will know why it's the best season finale ever, because it was just one of the best episodes that Game of Thrones has ever produced. And we're going to talk about it now. So we start down in King's Landing then for the main events, or one of the main events of the season, really. Loras confessed his crimes and joined the Faith Militants. Obviously this was Cersei and Loras's trial that was trying them. They got locked up obviously last season. Loras has been in prison since season 5, episode 4 or 5, something like that. And Cersei obviously managed to get out after her Walk of Atonement in season 5, episode 10. That was a little bit of a disappointment, to be honest, because I thought Loras might actually fight, but instead he just kind of gave up. And then he got the 7-pointed star carved into his head with a knife, which was quite a horrible bit to watch. I was a little bit cringed out by that. And then Cersei didn't turn up for her trial, which was very suspicious. It was a very interesting defiance from Cersei. And at first we just thought, oh, she's not going to turn up, or oh, she's going to turn up late. But obviously the real reason is a lot darker, which we'll get onto in a second, because the High Sparrow sent Lancel to fetch her, or to go and get her and bring her to the Sept, so that she could face her trial. Now Lancel Lannister was just about to leave the Sept, and he saw a little child, and he started to follow the child, because he thought the child was luring him in. But before we get on to what he found in a minute, we'll talk about Pycelle, Grand Maester Pycelle. Now, he was lured into Qyburn's chambers by more children, and then brutally stabbed to death, quite a lot. You know, we didn't really see much of the stabbing the body, but we did see a lot of blood, and these children were just brutally ravaging, or whatever you want to call it, his body. So Lancel discovered a store of wildfire beneath the Sept, and also was stabbed by a child. These children have been a bit violent this week. And Margaery warned the crowds to leave the Sept, because she realised that if Cersei wasn't going to turn up to her trial, then obviously that she was willing to face the consequences. And I think that's a very, very horrible realisation. There was a brilliant moment where the sparrows were blocking the entrances, and Margaery and the High Sparrow just looked at each other, and there was a horrible realisation that actually she has won. Cersei has won. Cersei's beaten them all at this Game of Thrones that they're playing, and I think that Cersei is not going. Cersei wasn't going to turn up to, Cersei wasn't going to turn up to her trial, and wildfire ignited beneath the Sept, blowing up the Sept, killing everybody. So that's Lancel, Margaery, Lancel Lannister, Margaery Tyrell, Loras Tyrell, Mace Tyrell, the High Sparrow, Kevin Lannister, and a whole other load of people that are inside the Sept. And because it was such a brilliant moment, I've put it on the video. So here it is, guys, for you to enjoy the blowing up of the Scepter of Baelor. What a fantastic event. It was so amazing. It was quite a dark event. I wasn't quite expecting it. I don't know whether anyone else was, whether you were expecting it or not, but I was certainly not expecting that to be that huge and brilliant as it was. It was a fantastic scene. And moving on then to Scepter Unella, who was captured and tortured by the Mountain on Cersei's command. The scene between Cersei and Scepter Unella was really good. And then the Mountain going in and having the door shut behind him. I don't know what he's doing to her, but I don't really want to know, I don't think. And then Cersei saying the words that were said behind her, Scepter Unella said to her when she was doing her Walk of Atonement, kept saying, shame, shame, shame. It was so satisfactory to see Cersei get her own back on Scepter Unella. And I'm really not a Cersei supporter, but I just felt it was so, after everything that happened, she was just such a brilliant way, it was such a brilliant way to have that storyline continue with Cersei. I don't know whether I should feel sad about Tommen committing suicide by jumping out of a window or not. I didn't really feel much emotion at all, but I feel like he's kind of a bit of a pointless character. All he's kind of done so far as king is moan, and I just don't really feel like he was much of a character, so I wasn't really bothered by his death. So at the Twins then, Walder Frey and Jaime had a conversation which was really tense. That was over their kind of dinner together. It was a really tense conversation with Jaime reminding him that the Lannisters are more powerful, and that obviously, you know, the Freys are only where they are because the Lannisters raised them up. And I think that's a very true point. I think that Walder Frey has forgotten that actually it was Tywin Lannister that made the Freys' power possible, really. Which, again, to me was, I don't know, it was a different atmosphere this week in the Twins. I think Walder Frey realised his weakness this week, and I think that was even more satisfactory when Walder was wondering where his sons Lothar and Black Walder were, and he was told by the servant that they were baked into the meat pie that he was eating, and I think that was a very satisfactory moment where we saw the servant remove her face, and we were a bit like, oh, okay, who's going to be under there? And of course, it was Arya Stark. Now, Arya obviously wanted revenge for the Red Wedding because, you know, that was when her mum and her brother and her sister-in-law, who she'd never met, were butchered, you know, so horribly in season 3, episode 9, The Reigns of Castamere. And I think that just gave us that satisfaction, and that Arya was the one to kind of merit that revenge and, you know, receive and carry out that revenge when she'd been there, present outside of the house, outside of the Twins when they were being butchered. I think for her to be the one to give that, to gain the revenge, it was such a satisfaction. And now will she go to Winterfell to be with Sansa and Jon? Who knows? I hope so. We'll hopefully find out next season what she does. So another big location then this week, Winterfell. Now Davos confronted Melisandre and she admitted to killing Shireen, which was quite a sad scene, and it was really quite brutal to see, not brutal, sorry, but it was quite scary to see Davos shouting at her, because it was a bit of a weird side that we haven't really seen from Davos before. And Jon sent Melisandre south, telling her that if she returned, she would be executed, which again is showing this monster from Jon that we saw when he was beating Ramsay to death, I think. Although it was really more for honour this week, so I think we can forgive him for that. And Jon and Sansa discussed who should lead the Stark forces, which was quite a sweet scene, with each of them telling the other that they should lead the Stark forces. Littlefinger revealed his ultimate goal to sit on the Iron Throne this week to Sansa in the Godswood, and he wants Sansa by his side. Now we knew that Littlefinger was playing an ambitious game from the start, but not how we didn't really realise how ambitious he was being until last night when he revealed that his ultimate goal was to sit on the Iron Throne, which is just obviously going to be add another player to the Game of Thrones. I mean, he's been playing it quite well so far, but it's just going to add this other layer to a Game of Thrones that we haven't really seen before. And he tried to kiss Sansa, but she did stop him this week, which was really good. I'm quite glad that she did, because it's getting a bit creepy, them two together. Jon gathered the Northern Lords to plan for the invasion of the White Walkers, where Lyanna Mormont rallied the troops and also rallied the Lords, should I say, and scolded them for not helping Jon in his time of need. Lyanna Mormont is really stealing the show this season. I think she's been one of the strongest women characters. Again, it's always the women that seem to be quite strong characters this season. I think they're really taking over the show. And, you know, Jon was made King in the North, just like Robb was back in Season 1, at the end of Season 1. And I thought it was a really satisfactory moment. It kind of brought it full circle, where Robb was King in the North, he was the young wolf, and now Jon is the White Wolf. Although Littlefinger didn't look happy about that, and I don't really know why, whether it's because he wanted to become Warden of the North through Sansa, or what it was, but it just seems to be a very weird situation that Littlefinger was very unhappy by that outcome. So beyond the wall then, we've used the wall for this because it's easier to have a place, a location that you can see. Benjen left Bran and Mira near the wall, and he told them that he couldn't pass beyond the wall because there were powers on the wall, forces on the wall that prevented the dead from going across to the land of the living, which I assume means that until the wall falls, the White Walkers can't come south, which if they found the Horn of Winter, then they can destroy the wall apparently, or so it's rumoured. Mira helped Bran to the weirwood tree that he left them by, and Bran touched it and went back to the Tower of Joy vision, which we finally saw what was inside the Tower of Joy, and we saw Lyanna hemorrhaging from childbirth. And then Lyanna pleaded with Eddard to take care of her son, who it was confirmed this week is Jon Snow, because otherwise Robert Baratheon would kill him. And that was such an interesting scene, because we had all these rumours and everybody's all these theories have been going around about who is Jon Snow, is his parents, is it Arpas Aliquis Jaya, and that this week was confirmed, and it's been such a brilliant week, and I think it was an interesting storyline, and it just made me realise how much of an honourable man Ned really is. I mean, he's always been an honourable man, but taking on his sister's child as his own bastard, I think is even better. It makes him even more of an honourable man than we first thought. So very quickly then, at Old Town, we don't have a location on the map or the title sequence so far for this, but Sam and Gilly arrived to report to the Citadel, and Sam was scheduled to meet the Archmaester, which was an interesting, it's a bit of a weird, it wasn't really that exciting to be honest at Old Town this week. And Sam was granted access to the library, which is obviously heaven for him. It looked like a lovely library. I must say it was very good visuals actually at Old Town. It's a very visually pleasing city. And white ravens were released to signify that winter has officially begun. Very scary stuff. So all this promise of winter is coming. Winter has finally arrived. All hell is going to break loose as the Night's King comes south, because winter is his kind of domain, and it's all going to go wrong, I'm sure. So in Meereen then, Daenerys told Daario that he won't be going with her to Westeros. He is to stay and defend Meereen and the Bay of Dragons, which was also previously known as Slaver's Bay, which I quite like the fact that she's renamed the bay after her own kind of achievements, after her own, you know, the fact that she's got dragons and everything else. I really like that. And Daenerys proclaimed Tyrion Hand of the Queen, which was really sweet. It was a really touching scene to see Tyrion as he'd been Hand of the King for Joffrey in Season 2. It made a kind of nice little addition to Tyrion's kind of storyline to become Hand of the Queen for Daenerys. I really like that development. And over in Dawn, which was back this week, we had Lady Olenna meet with Laria, Sand and the Sand Snakes, which was an interesting meeting at first. I didn't quite understand why she'd come until I realised, you know, she joined with them to defeat the Lannisters, and that's going to be an interesting thing because now they've got to fight Cersei as a combined force. And Varys arrived there and arranged for both of them essentially to help Daenerys. From the way that he said fire and blood, you assume that Varys is going to help Daenerys out with the help of the Tyrells and I was about to say the Martells in Dawn, but not anymore because the Martells don't rule, so the Dornish. So the penultimate scene then, I've done it a bit differently than normal because the last two scenes I think complemented each other, very, very well. So we're going to talk about the penultimate scene first of all. So Cersei took the throne for herself, Qyburn became Hand of the Queen, and we saw Jaime Lannister return to King's Landing and looking very, 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 very angry with Cersei, I think, for everything that he's done. You know, her actions resulted in the death their last remaining child. Her actions basically mean that she is now the queen, that he is sidelined essentially to being powerless over her. I think the fact that she didn't consult him first, I think he feels a bit betrayed by that, because he's always been her closest friend ever since they were children at Castle Rock. And I think it's just very upsetting for him. And I think Cersei now, all of Westeros is going to be just kind of ruined by Cersei. I think it's her own personal playground now, which is not going to end well for Westeros. Sorry. And so we come to the final scene of the season, where Daenerys, Tyrion, Yara, Theon, and the rest of her army set sail for Westeros. So, does that mean that next season, the invasion begins? And will we see a massive battle between Cersei's forces and Daenerys's? I sure hope so. It's going to be a very interesting season next season, I'm sure. So my conclusion then for the week, it was an explosive ending, quite literally in the case of King's Landing, to the best season of Game of Thrones so far, in my opinion. I think it was a lot better than season 5, obviously, but we'll come on to that later when we talk about my full season review. It's my next video in this series. And it felt like there was so much crammed into it, but it didn't feel rushed at all. There was no real sense of rushing things, and I didn't think it was ever going to end. It just seemed, I thought, oh, this must be the last scene. Nope, it carried on. Oh, this must be the last scene. Nope, it carried on. It just seemed to go on forever, and it was such a good thing that it did, because I just wanted more and more of this episode, So my overall rating then, again, like last week, it's a 10 out of 10. Yes, that's right, it's a 10 out of 10 again, which was fantastic for this season. It's been the last couple of episodes by Miguel, whoever it is who directs it. I can't remember his last name. I still haven't looked up his last name, I need to. But he's such a fantastic director, and he's done it so well, which is why I've given the last 2 episodes basically a 10 out of 10. More about the direction, also the storyline and everything else, the writing, the direction, the special effects, the visual effects, everything in it is just fantastic. It's come together to make a fantastic TV programme for the last couple of episodes of this season. So yeah, that's it for my Game of Thrones review this week. Make sure you keep an eye out for my Game of Thrones Season 6 complete review, which will be about the whole season, my favourite episodes, my favourite character moments, my least favourite character moments, my least favourite episodes. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've had I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye!